Pokemon trainers are the ones around whom the Pokemon world revolves. All great trainer characters are heavily linked to their own Pokemon. When mentioned, you always think of a Pokemon they have. Their Pokemons are extensions of themselves, a way to show their capabilities and personalities and how they interact with the world around them. If I mention Cynthia or Steven, you probably think of Garchomp or Metagross. Misty, Brock, Boltner, Lance, Leon, and as soon as you think of them, you probably also think of Cyberpunk, Togepi, Onix, Vulpix, Luxray, Dragonite, Charizard. So it was no surprise that this connection would eventually be brought into the trading card game, and that it would be a fan favorite mechanic. That was the crowd reaction at Worlds 2024 when trainers' Pokemon were confirmed back into the game. When I watched this reveal for the first time, I was also very excited, but as the days passed, I started to think deeply about this mechanic. How many times have we had it before, and when was the last time? Had this mechanic actually been good in the past, or was it just popular and beloved by association? When did it start, and what did all of this mean for future sets like Journey Together? Hi, I'm TheRainbowPitt, and I'm here to learn about Pokemon Trading Cards game past, and discuss its present so we can all prepare for its future together. If you'd also like to learn, please consider subscribing to the channel. So, what are trainers' Pokemon cards? Well, they are a subset of owners' Pokemon cards. These are Pokemon where the card itself mentions they belong to someone. I like to think there are mainly three different types of owners' Pokemon. First, Evil Team Pokemon. These are Pokemon that in the card it shows they belong to a general evil team. Team Rocket, Magma, Aqua, Plasma. They tend to be more general and usually bring with them a ton of useful cards that specifically work with their team's Pokemon, allowing them usually to be very wide and flexible, both in typing and mechanics, as well as the type of decks that they can be played into. The second type is Organization Pokemon. This exclusively refers to the Home Organization cards and their Pokemon. These cards belong to the TCG exclusive Hollowing region. Some trainer cards were used to show their trainers and landmarks, and they also came with 5 specific Hollow-owned Pokemon that had the unique mechanic to also work as energy cards. But we can discuss this further in a future video. Finally, the subject of this video, the trainers' Pokemon. These are cards owned by specific trainers from the game. Team leaders, Elite Four, champion, NPCs, rivals, and they tend to have specific mechanics or intended usages per individual trainers, with trainer cards matching the themes of the Pokemon. Here in the West, we have gotten trainers Pokemon basically twice. First in the gym sets of the Wizards of the Coast era back in the 2000s, and then on the Platinum sets of the Gen 4 era in 2009, and we haven't really seen them again until this year, 2025, with the release of the Journey Together set. So yeah, they were first introduced near the beginning of the game on what would be the 6th and 7th set ever. First on Gym Heroes, then followed by Gym Challenge. Both of these sets brought exclusively owners' Pokemon and a lot of owner-related trainers, all focusing on the 8 gym leaders of Gen 1 with a total of 203 trainers Pokemon like Misty's Tentacruels or Sabrina's Gengar. Or Trainers Pokemon related cards. These are cards that interact exclusively with Trainers Pokemon, like Cerulean Gym or Erika's Maid. So, were these sets impactful or meta relevant? Well, not that much. Out of all those cards, less than 15 were good or strong enough to even be considered. Some even being more like fun choices of the time than actual strong cards. So let's talk about the cards that saw a lot of play during this time. Starting with Erika's Jigglypuff. This card was played solely because of full punch damage potential. This attack could be charged on turn 1 with a single double colorless energy, and then charged with plus powers doing up to 80 non-resistive damage, effectively being able to take a prize and sometimes end games before your opponent could even take their first turn. On the other hand, we have Erika's Dratini. This card would be played as a countermeasure to Jigglypuff and other similar aggressive decks of the format, thanks to its strong ability that was able to stop it from being KO'd quickly. This card was also able to stall the game and buy yourself turns, which was very useful and important in the heavy hand disrupting meta of the time. After cards like Rocket's Sneak Attack and Rocket's Trap were played by your opponent, leaving yourself without a hand to play. Next is Brock's Ninetales and Brock's Protection. These cards were played mainly because of the power that they brought together. Brock's Protection would be an effective way for Brock's Pokemon to play around the heavy energy disruption meta of the time, caused by energy removal and superior energy removal. And with Brock's Ninetales Shapeshift ability, you would be able to pass this protection to any evolution Pokemon you wanted, making this an extremely defensive and flexible combo. Lieutenant Surge Raticate is probably my favorite card of these sets. This card was played mainly as a 2-card combo with Jungle Mr. Mime, since between Raticate Super Fang and Mr. Mime's Meditate, you'd be able to effectively 2-hit KO any of your opponent's Pokemon. Next is Blaine's Charmander. Being in a heavy energy disrupting format, this Charmander saw some play as an extra way to disrupt the opponent's board. While still, you would be able to set up for a late game win with either its evolutions, a Neogenesis Typhlosion, or any other strong fire Pokemon. The next 2 cards actually saw play until the meta changed around the Generation 2 sets. Brock's Mankey's later resurgence in the meta was mainly as a way to bring up high-cost retreat Pokemon, usually Slowking, to slow down your opponent, as well as to try and set up and take slow KOs as turn passed. Finally, Blaine's Arcanine. This card saw some play as a partner to Neo Typhlosion, mainly due to the massive damage of the Firestorm attack in Arcanine. Other cards that saw very light play were Misty's Gyarados. This was mainly used for Brock's Ninetales to shapeshift into, since it was able to ignore Gyarados' detrimental ability. However, this would stop being played as better partners for Ninetales would be used from either older sets or upcoming sets. Finally, we have Celadon City Gym. Some players would use this stadium as a way to get rid of special conditions on Dratini to keep its ability available. Now, what we can gather from these cards is that for trainers Pokemon to be played, they need to be one of either 3 things. They need to either be very strong, whether offensively or defensively, like both of Erika's Jigglypuff and Erika's Dratini. They need to be a part of a very strong combo, like Brock's Ninetales and Brock's Protections, or Lieutenant Surge Raticate, or they need to be flexible enough so that people can play them with other cards or just put them in a deck that's already working, like Blaine's Charmander or Blaine's Arcanine. But now we move forward in time to 2009. Obama just became President of the United States, Mexico and Japan assumed their seats on the United Nations Security Council, and the H1N1 world pandemic is about to happen. But even more importantly, I'm 11 and my mom just arrived from Walmart with around 15 packs from Diamond and Pearl to Platinum that she bought for me at a discount. Yippee! Probably cementing my obsession with the trading card game forever. The contents of these Platinum sets is what we're going to discuss now, as these were the second sets ever to have trainers Pokemon. Between the two sets of Rising Rivals and Supreme Victors, there are a total of 70 trainers Pokemon or related cards, but only around 10 of these cards saw actual meta play. These set trainers Pokemon were all a part of the SP mechanic, so all of them would be basic Pokemon. Many of the SP Pokemon would also be a part of the Level X mechanic, which would basically allow them to evolve into a stronger form of the same Pokemon. Now, according to the rules, the SP Pokemons are not really trainers Pokemon. As you can see, they don't actually have the name of a trainer on them, but only a symbol representing the trainer's rank, as well as the representation of the trainer, but only as a visual through the card. This does affect the cards a little, as they are way less mechanically focused around each individual trainer, unlike the ones we just talked about previously. Now, why are we talking about these cards then? Well, the reason we will talk about these cards is because a lot of people will also bring them up when talking about trainers Pokemon, and I do think they are close enough to trainers Pokemon where we should at least discuss them when talking about this subject. Now, probably the best, most popular, and most played of the trainers Pokemon was Luxray GL and Luxray GL Level X. He had a great attack from the Level X to kill basic Pokemon or finish any KOs, as well as having a really strong gust ability to bring those Pokemon up so that he or any of his partners could KO them, or bring something up to get it stuck while you attack the bench with a different Pokemon. This card was so strong that it would see plenty of play, not only in SP decks, but almost any deck in format, winning both 2009 and 2010 World's Championship. Then we have Garchomp C and Garchomp C Level X. This Pokemon was a great efficient attacker, able to specifically target Pokemon with good KO, whether damaged or support Pokemon with low HP. Now this, as well as Garchomp's Level X ability, being able to clean damage on all of your SP Pokemon, punishing your opponents for not taking one-hit KOs, as well as ignoring other popular cards' downsides, like Luxray GL Level X Attacks Effect, Bronson's G Ability Cost, or Crobat's G Ability Effect. This card was accompanied by Luxray to win 2010's World's Championship. Next is Infernape E4 and Infernape E4 Level X. This Pokemon was actually Luxray's first partner before Garchomp C got released. This Pokemon had a good ability to stall and bring up Pokemon your opponent might not want to. With its strong attacks, it was able to KO everything in format, even other SP Level X Pokemon. This card was known for being a very strong and consistent attacker. It was so good that it even managed to win 2009 US Nationals, piloted by none other than Kyle Puka. Now it's Lucario GL. What you must know first is that in this format, weakness was only additive, so plus 10, plus 20, plus 30, for all but SP and Level X Pokemon. But Lucario's ability was a great way to circumvent this, making every Pokemon's weakness times 2 damage. And since your own SP Pokemon's weakness was already times 2, it would not actually affect you at all. This card was so good that every SP-centric deck would play at least one copy of it. Next is a card that was a late find by the players of the time, Dragonite FB. While not being played a lot on release, this card's play rate skyrocketed once people realized this was a great and easy way to both KO any basic SP Pokemon in format, but also Garchomp level X. This thanks to this Pokemon's colorless attack, match blow, and Garchomp's weakness to colorless Pokemon. And finally, Blaziken FB and Blaziken FB level X. This was a card that saw some play in some decks as just a strong, easy to charge and easy to get KOs card. This was primarily used to close out games or get quick important KOs at the beginning of a match. Now, it might look like we talk about a lot of cards. And yes, we did talk about 25 or so cards. But this is really just a small amount considering the full total of trainers Pokemon we've had. But what did we learn? Well, personally, I learned that trainers Pokemon cards are usually not that impactful. The ones that do see play need to either be a part of a very strong and consistent combo, like Lieutenant Surge, Raticate, or Blaine's Arcanine, playing with other different cards, like Mr. Mime and Typhlosion. Or they need to be so versatile, flexible, and strong that their mechanical limitations are easy to ignore or aren't even there at all, like Brock's Ninetales or all of the Platinum era cards. What I realized is that playing with only a specific trainer's Pokemon takes out a lot of viability of these cards, since they end up with no flexibility at all. And in TCGs like in life, flexibility is key, because being able to have more options will just open up a lot more paths to victory. In the end, it seems like the normal trainers Pokemon have a tendency to being iconic, but not to actually being a powerful mechanic for the game. Now, I do expect for 2 or 3 of the future trainers Pokemon to be playable and good, but unless our options get worse, I think most of them are not going to see any relevant results. But hey, that is just my opinion, and as a lover of this mechanic, I can only hope to be wrong. But let me know if you agree or disagree in the comment section below. And if you'd like to continue learning, consider subscribing. Any and all ideas for future videos are welcome. See you next time.